sale, that is from sections 54 to 57 of the Transfer of Property Act, which deals with the sale. This question, that is sale, is most important question, is a repeated one which you may ask in your exam. Please note down the important questions under the sale. Important questions: define sale, distinguish it from contract for sale. Take down the next question. Define sale, explain the rights and duties of, define sale, explain the rights and duties of buyer and seller before and after completion of sale. Next question. Distinguish between an agreement of sale and an absolute sale. Now, let me explain what is sale. First of all, section 54 of the Transfer of Property Act, which deals with the definition of sale. Sale is a transferring of the ownership. That is, the person who is having the right over the property, who is having the title, interest over the property, is going to sell his property to anybody. That is, whatever the bundle of rights which the seller is having, all the bundle of rights will be transferred to the buyer, that is the purchaser. Here there are two parties in the sale. One is the transferor and the other is the transferee. The person, that is the transferor, is also called as a vendor, and the person who purchases the property is also called as a transferee or vendee. Here, as I told you, that is a transfer means it is a bundle of rights where it will be transferred to the transferee. That's the absolute right. It will be transferred to the transferee. Here, transferring of the ownership of the immovable property. Only immovable property is dealt under section 54 to 57, that is a sale. Sale is the transfer of ownership of immovable property in exchange of a price. In exchange of a price paid or promised, or part paid and part promised. Here, when the seller is transferring his ownership to the transferee, at that time it is the transferee has paid. In exchange he has paid or promised, or partly paid and partly promised. That's the definition which is given under section 54 of the Transfer of Property Act. Your transfer of ownership, it must be for the money consideration. Means something in return must be paid by the transferee. If the transferor transfers his property to transferee but without consideration, without money consideration, at that time it is not a sale. It amounts to the gift. Gift is without consideration, but sale is with consideration. Something that must be, something in return. Here, there are two elements under section 54 of the Transfer of Property Act. Elements which are necessary for the sale or transfer of ownership of immovable property and money consideration. These are the two elements which are necessary under the sale. Here, transfer of ownership, as I told you, ownership in absolute interest in the property. Therefore, in this sale, there is a transfer of all the rights in the property. No rights will be left with the transferor. All the rights, that is the absolute right, will be transferred to the transferee. Your ownership means bundle of rights, that is rights and liabilities of the property. All the rights in the property by transferor to the transferee, it will be transferred. That is the first element, transfer of ownership of immovable property. Now the second element, that is the money consideration. What is this money consideration? Transferor must receive, when transferor while he is selling his property to the other person, he must receive some money from the transferee in return of the transfer of ownership of his property. That is as a money consideration. That is, it may or may not be adequate sum of money, but it must, that is, the transferee must pay something in return while he is purchasing the property from the seller or the vendor. Here, transfer of ownership without any consideration, it amounts to a gift. Transfer of ownership for money consideration, it amounts to the sale. Here, under section 54, the money need not be paid at the time of the transfer only. Here, it may be promised to be paid in future also, or it may be paid immediately and the rest may be paid in future. These are the elements of sale. That is a transfer of ownership and money consideration. Now, we shall see about the essentials under section 54. What are the essentials? That is, there must be a parties. Here the parties means, as I told you under the sale, that is, there are two parties to the transferring of ownership. That is parties, that is a seller and purchaser. Here both the parties, that is seller and purchaser, they must be competent to contract. Here there are two parties in a sale. Transferor is called the seller and the transferee is called as the purchaser. Seller and purchaser also known as vendor and vendee. Here they must be competent. Seller must be competent to contract, means he must be of sound mind, must have attained the age of majority. Here competency is not sufficient. The seller must also have the right over the property. That is, he must be competent, but it is not sufficient. He must have the right, absolute right over the property. Then only he can sell it to the other person. Here, property must also be a transferable property within the meaning of section 6 of the Transfer of Property Act. That is, what the section 6 of the Transfer of Property is. Section 6, which deals with the what kind of properties are transferable and the exceptions. So, your property must also be transferable property under the meaning of section 6 of the Transfer of Property Act. Here, a minor is not competent to contract, but is a competent person, competent purchaser. Sale in favor of the minor is valid. Your seller and buyer, that is, both may either be human persons or a juristic persons. This is the first essential, that is the parties. Now let us go to second essentials of sale. Subject matter. Your subject matter, that is a property. What is subject matter here under sale? Subject matter is a property. That is, subject matter of the sale must be immovable property. And here that property, that immovable property must be in existence at the date of the transfer. Here, because there is a transfer of property, means it's a transfer between the inter vivas. It is between the two living persons. So, not only the property must be in existence, it is the parties must also be in existence at the date of the transfer. Here, this act, this Transfer of Property Act deals with sale of only immovable property. Sale of movables are dealt under the Sale of Goods Act 1929. And immovable property is either tangible or intangible, that is, land, houses, buildings, or tangible immovable property which can be seen, but beneficial interest such as right to rent, profit, right of fisheries are all intangible immovable properties. And reversion is also intangible property, and is a subject matter of sale, reversion. Here you have to know the meaning of reversion. What is reversion? Reversion means bundle of rights which remain with the lessor after giving his property on lease. After leasing his property also, the bundle of, that is a rights, that is a bundle of rights which will remain with the lessor itself. That is called as a reversion. Here, lease is a transfer of only the right of enjoyment of the property. Here, there is no transferring of the ownership under the lease. There is only a transferring of the enjoyment of the property to the lessee. However, the immobile property, whether it is tangible or intangible, must be in existence at the date of the transfer. Next, third essentials under the sale is money consideration. Money consideration, it is property is an essential element in the transfer, that is by way of sale. Price must be fixed or referred in the sale deed. Here, payment is not necessary for completion of the sale, that is after transfer, but its reference is necessary. Payment may be made at present or in future, but that is a reference of the payment must be necessary. If no price has been mentioned or ascertained in the sale deed, then even a registered sale deed may not be recorded as sale. That is the amount must be referred. If it is not, that is if the no price has been mentioned or ascertained in the sale deed, then it is not recorded as a sale. Money consideration is one of the essential element under the sale, important essential element. Next, we shall go to the fourth essential of sale, that is conveyance. What is this conveyance? Conveyance means it is the meaning of conveyance is transfer. That is, it is a mode of transfer. Sale is a transferring of ownership of the immovable property. Section 54 provides two modes of transferring of the property. Here, that is through the delivery of possession. Only the possession can be delivered. And second one is through the registration of the sale deed. These are the two modes of transferring of the property. Here, delivery of possession. Here is one of the mode of transferring the property. Delivery of possession, that is where the property is tangible, immobile property of a value less than 100 rupees. The sale must be made by the delivery of possession. And the next mode is the registration of the sale deed. Here, except in the sale of tangible immobile property valuing less than rupees 100, in all the other case of sale of immobile property, registration is compulsory. Here, that is party, subject matter, money consideration, conveyance. These are all the essentials under the sale, under section 54. Now, let me discuss about differences between the sale and agreement to sale. We have to know the difference between the sale and agreement to sale. Here, under sale, this is a present document. Sale is a present document. But agreement to sale, it is a future document. You are making an agreement with a purchaser that you are going to sell your property. That is only, it is a future document which you are going to sell in future. Sale, document is written on higher stamp value. That is, the document is written on the higher stamp value, but under agreement to sale, stamp paper is of low value. Third difference under sale is, this is transfer of ownership. Sale is transferring of the ownership from the transferor to the transferee, or from the vendor to the vendee. That is the transfer must be having the absolute interest, title over the property. Then he can transfer of ownership from seller to the buyer. Here, under agreement to sale, there is no transferring of the ownership. The next difference is possession delivered to the buyer. Possession which is delivered to the buyer. Under sale, where the sale has been completed, at the time that the possession will be given to the buyer. But under agreement to sale, there is no delivery of possession. The possession will be with the seller. Till the sale is completed, it will be with the owner itself. It is the seller. Next difference, buyer takes care of property. Here, when the sale has been completed, at the time there is a possession will be given to the buyer as the purchaser. So the buyer takes care of the property under sale. But under agreement to sale, the care of the owner continues because there is only an agreement to sale in future. So there is no sales has been completed. So that is the care of the owner continues. Owner will be having the property in his hand, and it is the owner, that is the care of the property. It will be with the owner and he continues. Owner continues it. And next under the sale, buyer received the income. Buyer received the income, that is when the sale has been completed, there is a money consideration has to be paid to the seller from the buyer. That is the buyer received the income. Buyer received the income. Next, under the agreement to sale, income received by the owner. Here, when there is an agreement to sale, there is a income which is received by the owner. And next under sale, that is buyer, that is a buyer pays the public. When the sale has been completed, that is the purchaser or the buyer, he has to pay the public charges, tax or anything that is to be paid by the buyer after sale has been completed. But under the agreement to sale, that is the owner. When there is only agreement, this is when the sale has not been completed, at the time it is the duty of the owner to pay the public charges. Owner continues to pay the public charges under the agreement to sale. Property Act, Section 55 of the TP Act, which deals with the rights and liabilities of seller and buyer. Here, rights as well as the duty of both the seller and buyer, that is before the completion of sale, what are the rights and liabilities, and after the completion of sale, what are the rights and liabilities of buyer and seller, is all dealt under the only section, that is the Section 55 of the Transfer of Property Act. Now let me explain one by one. That's the seller's duties before the sale or seller's liabilities. That is, as I told you, sale is a transfer of ownership when there is transfer of absolute interest in the property. That is, after completion of sale, all the rights and liabilities in the property owned by the seller pass on to the purchaser. Here, seller has full liberty of transferring it to the buyer on terms of conditions as he likes. He can transfer the property. Here, under Section 55 of the TP Act, it explains both rights and liabilities of both the parties, seller and the buyer. Now let me discuss first seller's liabilities before sale. Seller is having certain duties while selling the property. It is before selling the property, he has certain duties or the liabilities. That is a seller. Let us see before the sale, what are the liabilities? What are the duties of the seller? The first duty of the seller before selling his property is that to disclose material defects in the property or title. In this title or in the property, if there is any defects in the property or in the title, it has to be disclosed by the seller to the purchaser. It is the first duty of the seller to disclose the material defects in the property. Here, before completion of sale, that is before completion of sale, the seller is bound to disclose any defects, any latent material defect in the property or any defect in his own title. It may be in his property or it may be in his title. He has to disclose the latent material defect. Here there are two kinds of defects. One is latent and the other is the patent. We have to know, first of all, we have to know the meaning of what is this latent and patent material defect. Here, the defect in the property which the seller is bound to disclose is a defect which is known to seller but purchaser is not aware of it. Here, what kind of defect is to be disclosed by the seller is that here the seller knows the defect but the buyer, that is the purchaser, is not aware of the defect. That to be disclosed by the seller to the purchaser. The buyer would be unaware of the defect if he is unable to know because it is not apparent or visible. That is called as a latent defect. Here the defect is apparent and buyer can discover it with ordinary carefulness. That defect is patent. Here the difference between the patent defect and the latent defect is the patent defect means the defect which is in the property or the title. That is, the defect is apparent, means which can be seen, apparent, and buyer can disclose and discover it with ordinary carefulness. That defect is called as the patent defect. And the latent defect, that is the buyer would be unaware of the defect. If he is unable to know because it is the defect which is not visible or the defect which is not apparent, at that time it is a duty of the seller to disclose the defect to the buyer. That is called as a latent defect. Here it is not a patent, it is a latent defect which is to be disclosed to the buyer by the seller. And under this section, the seller has duty to disclose only the latent defect. The seller is bound to disclose to the buyer not only latent defect, also material defect. Here, defect is material in the sense that if it was known to the buyer, he would have either not purchased the property or have agreed to take it at a lesser cost. This is a material defect. That is material, as I told you, material defect means that is a defect is a material in the sense that if it was known to the buyer, he would have purchased it for a lesser cost or he would not have purchased that property. That's a material defect. Not only the latent, it is a material defect also to be disclosed by the seller to the buyer. The first duty of the seller before selling his property. And second liability of the seller before selling his property is to produce the title deeds for inspection. That is the next duty. The next duty of the seller is to produce the title deeds of the property for inspection if buyer demands. If the purchaser demands, that is, the seller has to produce the title deeds for inspection. And here it says that no duty to produce the title deeds unless it has been demanded by the purchaser. Until the purchaser demands, there is no duty of the seller to produce his title deeds to the buyer for inspection. And if demanded by the purchaser, the seller must produce it with reasonable time. If the buyer requests the seller for the title deeds and the seller has a duty to produce not only those documents which are in his possession but also make arrangements for the inspection of those documents which are within his possession. Here it says that if the buyer demands for the buyer requests the seller for the title deeds, at that time it is a duty of the seller to produce the title deeds which are in the possession of the seller, not only possession of the seller, and that is and your seller has to make an arrangement for the inspection of those documents which are within his power. For example, title deeds are in the possession of the mortgagee. At the time, it is the duty of the seller to make an arrangement where the possession within is not with the seller. It is within his power. He also has to make the arrangement for the title deeds also when the buyer requests the seller. Next, third liability of the seller is to answer relevant questions as to the title. To answer the relevant questions. Here, since a buyer has to get the ownership of the property, it is in his interest that he must be fully satisfied with the title of the seller. Then only the buyer can purchase the property. He must be fully satisfied with the title of the property, title of the seller. Here, therefore, if any questions which is asked by the buyer to the seller, it is the seller's duty to answer for the relevant questions which is asked by the purchaser. Therefore, inspection of the title deeds is not enough. Only inspecting the title deeds is not enough. There might be other doubts which must be removed before execution of the sale. So, the seller's next duty to answer all the questions which is put by the buyer which are relevant for passing of the rights. Here, there are certain questions which can be asked by the buyer to the seller. That is the question regarding the title or maybe regarding identity of the property or due execution of the sale deed by competent persons, the validity of the attestation of the deed, rents being received from the property is a material question. These are all the questions asked by the buyer to the seller. The seller is under duty to answer these questions. Next duty of the seller is to take care of the property and title deeds. Here, the fourth duty of the seller is to execute the conveyance. To execute the conveyance means seller's next duty is to execute the conveyance. That means he has the effect of the transferring of the ownership. That is, this is done by signing or affixing thumb impression on the sale deed by the seller. There is a transfer of ownership. There is a conveyance takes place. And here seller does not sign or affix his mark on the sale deed. There is no execution of the sale deed. So it must be signed and it must be, that is a signing or thumb impression on the sale deed. It is a must. And normally that is the payment of price. Normally that is the payment of price by the buyer and execution of conveyance by the seller or reciprocal duties of both buyer and seller. Therefore, transferring of ownership by execution of deed and the payment of price takes place simultaneously. Here, section 55 subclause 1 subclause D, which is with the duty to execute conveyance, it provides that execution and payment of price is to be made at a proper time and proper place, but it has not been specified. This is the liability of the seller before selling the property. Next liability is to take care of the property and title deeds. It is the liability of the seller to take care of the property and title deeds till the ownership is transferred from seller to the buyer. That is, after execution of the conveyance, the next duty of the seller is to take care of the property and the documents of title. They are to be handed over to the buyer after sale. In between contract of sale and delivery of possession, the seller continues to be the owner, so he has to keep the property intact. So it can be delivered after the sale to the buyer. Your duty of the seller to preserve the property and the title deeds. It is a duty of the seller till it is transferred to the buyer. Here the position of the seller is that of a trustee. He holds the property as a trustee holds. This is one of the liability of the seller to take care of the property until the property is transferred to the buyer. Next liability of the seller is to pay the outgoings. Payment of the outgoings. It is the seller's last duty before completion of the sale is to pay all the outgoings. It is the duty of the seller to pay the outgoings. That is, outgoings of a property or government dues or public charges such as revenue, tax, rents, etc. due on the property is to be paid by the seller before the sale has been completed. Here, before sale, all the public charges, taxes, dues on the property must be paid by the seller himself before the sale take place. It is a duty of the seller. Here, seller's duties before sale is he has to disclose the material defects in the property. He has to produce the title deeds for the inspection whenever the buyer demands the seller, and to answer relevant questions regarding the property or regarding his title. If there is any questions, it has to be answered by the seller to the buyer. And to execute the conveyance, it's a transferring of ownership from the seller to the buyer to take care of the property and title deeds. Till the sale, it is a transferring of ownership. It is a duty of the seller to take care of the property as well as the title deeds. And he has to pay, that is, the seller has to pay the outgoings, that is the public charges. Public charges. These are all the seller's liabilities before sale. Next, let me explain seller's liabilities after sale. When the seller has transferred his ownership to the buyer, what is the liabilities after selling the property? Here, the first liability of the seller is to give possession to the buyer. When he has transferred the absolute right to the transferee, it is to the purchaser, he has to, it is a duty of the seller to give possession to the buyer. He has to give the portion of the property has to be delivered to the buyer. Giving possession of the property is the seller's duty after sale. On request by the buyer, the seller has a duty to give the possession of the property to buyer or to such person as the buyer directs. It is the duty of the seller after sale has been completed. There is an implied contract to give the possession of the property to the buyer. As soon as the sale has been completed, it is an implied duty of the seller to give the possession. Next, second duty of the seller is to covenant for title. Covenant for title means sale is a transferring of ownership or absolute interest is transferred to the transferee under sale. When a person contracts to sell his property, it is implied that he must be the owner of the property. Otherwise, he would not have attempted to sell the property. That is to covenant for title. He must be having the title over the property. He must be owner of that property. That is a covenant for title. He must be having title and he must be the owner of that property. Otherwise, he would not have attempted to sell it to the other person. Next, third liability of the seller after selling his property to the buyer is to deliver the title deeds on receipt of the price. That is, after the completion of sale, when a buyer becomes the owner of the property, it is the duty of the seller to produce the title deeds to the buyer, to deliver the title deeds on receipt of the price. Once the seller gets the amount, that is the consideration, that is the price. At that time, it is the duty of the seller to deliver the title deeds. He must also get the title deeds, which are the legal documents relating to the property. Here, seller has duty to deliver the title deeds of the property to purchaser after completion of sale. Seller is liable to hand over not only those documents which are in his possession, but also those which are important and within his power. Is the liability of the seller. Not only that is the seller has to transfer not only title deeds which are in his possession, but also the important documents related to the property which are in his power. It also must be transferred to the buyer. It is to deliver the title deeds on receipt of the price. On receiving of the price by the buyer, it is the duty of the seller to produce the title deeds. These are all the seller's liabilities before sale and seller's liabilities after sale. 55. Section 55 of the Transfer of Property Act, which deals with the rights and liabilities of the seller and buyer, as I told you earlier in the class. That is seller's rights before sale. Earlier I discussed about seller's liabilities before sale and seller's liabilities after sale. Now I am going to explain seller's rights before sale and seller's rights after sale. That is section 55 subclause 4 subclause A, which deals with the seller's rights before sale, and seller's rights after sale is dealt under section 55 subclause 4 subclause B. Here, that is, what are the seller's rights before transferring of the ownership to the buyer? Here, seller's rights is seller is entitled to all the rents and profits of the property, and he is entitled to enjoy the property, that is before sale. Is all the rights which the seller is having before the sale take place, before the transferring of the ownership to the buyer. Seller is entitled to all the rents, profits or beneficial interest of the property. And seller is also having the right to enjoy the profits of the property. These are all the rights of the seller before the sale take place, before transferring of the ownership. Here, the main right is to take the rents and profits and to enjoy the property. Is a right of the seller before sale. Sale is completed only after the transferring of the ownership. Until ownership is transferred, seller continues to be the owner, and as such he has every right to enjoy the profits of the property. This is the right of the seller before selling his property. And let us see seller's rights after sale. Section 55 subclause 4 subclause B, which deals with the rights of seller's rights after sale. When the seller has transferred his ownership, transferring of the ownership has been completed. That is, seller has transferred the ownership to the buyer. After transferring of ownership, what the right is the seller is having? Let us see under section 55 subclause 4 subclause B. Here, after completion of the sale, the price or any part of it remains unpaid by the buyer. At that time, the seller acquires a lien or charge on the property. Here, seller's rights after sale. The sale has been completed, the ownership has been transferred to the buyer, but the seller is having certain rights after sale also. That is, after sale, if price remains unpaid, there is a transfer transferring of ownership has been completed. The property has been transferred to buyer, but the price remains unpaid. The price has not been paid by the buyer. At the time, the seller is having the right. That is, seller acquires a lien or charge for the price not paid by the buyer. That is, if price remains unpaid, the seller can neither refuse delivery of possession nor can claim that possession if already given to the buyer. Once the seller has given the possession to the buyer, he cannot get back the possession of the property from the buyer. The completion of sale of an immobile property does not depend upon the payment of price. That is, the price or a part of it may also be paid after the sale. Here, charge. Here, that is a right which the seller is having when the buyer has not paid the price of the property. Here, charge may be created either by act of parties or by act of law or by the operation of law. Under this section, 55 subclause 4 subclause B, under this section, the charge is statutory charge. That is by operation of law. Here the charge which the seller is having on the property, that is which is being transferred to the buyer, that is the charge is here it is an operation of law. It is a statutory charge which the that is the right of the seller after selling his property to the buyer. Here seller has given possession of the property to the buyer. He cannot claim back the possession from the buyer on the ground of non-payment of price, non-payment of the whole or part of the amount. Once the sale has been completed, once the portion has been given to the buyer, has been complete. He cannot get back the portion from the buyer. After completion of the sale, the seller is neither entitled to refuse the delivery of portion nor to claim it back. The only right which the seller is having after delivery or after transferring the portion of the property to the buyer, the only right which the seller is having is having a charge for the price which remains unpaid by the buyer. Here, this section gives seller a right only to get unpaid price from out of the property sold to the buyer. This the seller does by enforcing the rights, enforcing the charge. For the recovery of the unpaid price, the seller shall enforce his charge under section 100 of this Act by filing a suit against the buyer. And here, one more right which the seller is having is the seller after transferring the portion of the property to the buyer, if the price remains unpaid by the buyer, the seller is having one more right, that is interest on unpaid price. This is also one of the right which the seller is having, interest on unpaid price. This is also right of the seller after selling his property. That is, interest on unpaid prices. Seller's unpaid price is just like a debt. That is entitled to claim not only the unpaid part of the purchase money but also interest on such amount which has been unpaid by the buyer. Here, that is a seller is having the charge over the price which has been unpaid by the charge on the property which has been unpaid by the buyer. Here, not only the seller's unpaid price, seller's unpaid price is like a debt, as I told you, is entitled to claim not only the price, not only the unpaid part, as well as the interest on the unpaid price. This is a right which the seller is having after selling his property, after sale. Now we shall see what is the buyer's duties before sale. Here, buyer has the duty to disclose the facts which materially increases the value of the property. That is, to disclose the facts, it is one of the duty of the buyer. Where the material value increases the property, it is to be disclosed by the buyer to the seller. Here section 55 subclause 5 subclause A of the TP Act, which deals with the duty of disclosure. Here before sale, that is, the buyer is liable to disclose to the seller the facts which materially increases the value. Example, let me give you an example here, where the seller is an aged lady or an illiterate person. Your seller is ignorant about his own rights in the property, but the buyer is aware of the rights of the seller. Taking benefit of lack of knowledge, the buyer may persuade the seller to sell the property at much lesser cost. Under this section, the buyer has a duty to disclose the fact to the seller. There is a duty of the seller, duty of the buyer to disclose the facts which he knows to the seller when the seller is illiterate or is unaware. Seller is unaware of the defects in the property. It has to be disclosed. Here there is a case law for this. Summers versus Griffiths. Summers versus Griffiths. In this case, an old lady, believing that her rights in the property were not absolute, contracted to sell it at much lesser cost, lesser price. But the buyer knows that the seller is having a better title, and her title was perfect. This is known to the buyer. Despite his knowledge about absolute interest of that lady, the buyer did not disclose it to her. The buyer was held liable to commit fraud in this case. In this case, Summers versus Griffiths case, the buyer was held liable to commit the fraud, and on this ground, the sale was set aside in this case. Next duty of the buyer is to pay the price. It is section 55 subclause 5 subclause B, which deals with the payment of price. It is also one of the duty of the buyer to pay the price to the seller. Naturally, that is the execution of sale deed and payment of the price take place simultaneously. Here, buyer is not bound to pay the price until the transfer is executed by the seller. Here, both, that is the conveyance, there is a transfer of the ownership as well as the payment of the price, take place simultaneously. That's the payment of price is also one of the, to pay the price also one of the duty of the buyer before sale. These are the two duties which the buyer is having: to disclose the facts which the seller is not aware of the facts and the defects in the property, or to pay the price. To pay the price is a buyer duty to pay the price. And let us see the buyer's duties after sale. After selling the property, what are the buyer's duties? That is, when the possession has been given to the buyer, when the sale has been completed, then what are the buyer's duties? That is, after sale is to bear the loss to the property if any. If there is any loss which has happened to the property, it is the duty of the buyer to bear the loss. Here, to bear the loss to property, it is section 55, subclause 5, subclause C, which deals with the to bear the loss to the property. After sale, the ownership is transferred from seller to the buyer. That is to say, after sale, this buyer becomes the absolute owner of the property sold to him. If there is any loss to the property subsequent to sale, it is the buyer who has to bear the loss of the loss. As owner of the property, he himself has to bear the loss. That is the buyer. Accordingly, if after completion of sale, the value of property is reduced because of its deterioration or destruction, the buyer is bound to suffer the loss. That is because he has become the absolute owner of the property. It is a buyer. So, he has to bear the loss of the property. That is after sale. It is the duty of the buyer. Next is to pay the outgoings. To pay the outgoings or to pay the public charges. It is also one of the duty of the buyer. To pay the public charges, that is before sale, as we all know, that is it is the duty of the seller to pay the public charges, rents or revenue, taxes. It is to be paid by the seller. But after selling, after the property has been conveyed to the buyer, it is the duty of the buyer, it is to pay the outgoings after sale. After sale, since buyer becomes the owner of the property, he is liable to pay the public charges. Here, for example, public charges, that is government dues, taxes, rents, revenue. This has to be paid by the buyer after sale. Before sale, the liability to pay the public charges is on the seller. But after sale, after selling the property, together with the ownership, here when the seller sells his property to the buyer, what will be transferred? The main thing, here the ownership will be transferred. Here sale means it is a transfer of ownership. Transferring of ownership to the buyer. When the buyer gets the ownership, when he gets the absolute interest over the property, he has to pay the outgoings, public charges. Together with the ownership, if this liability is also transferred to the buyer, is a payment of the public charges. This is the duty of the buyer to pay the outgoings as well as to bear the loss to the property if there is any. Next we shall go to the buyer's rights before sale. Which are the buyer's rights before sale? Yeah, before selling the property, before transferring of ownership, the buyer is having certain rights. That is, before sale, the buyer has a lien on the property for any sum of money paid or paid by him as price of sale could not be completed. Here, buyer's rights before sale, before selling the property, he is having certain rights. That is, the buyer says that buyer has a lien on the property for the price prepaid. He has paid certain amount to the seller. For that amount, that is, the buyer is having a lien on the property. Here, sale deed does not take effect due to the default of the seller, or seller may refuse to sell the property to the buyer. Seller may refuse to execute the conveyance. These are circumstances where the property cannot be transferred to the buyer at the time buyer is having the lien on the property for the price prepaid. Next is, buyer has right to recover all the sums paid with interest. When the buyer has paid the amount for the property, at the time when there is any default by the seller for the execution of the when the seller refuses to execute the conveyance or due to the default of the seller, at that time whatever the amount which has been paid by the buyer, that is, the buyer has right to recover all the sums which he has paid, that too with interest. That is, the buyer can recover. Buyer can recover it. It is one of the right that is the buyer is having. That is before sale. Next, let us see the buyer's rights after sale. After sale, buyer has all the rights which the seller was having. before transferring the ownership. When the property has been transferred, when there is a transfer of ownership from the seller to the buyer, buyer has all the rights over the property because he is the absolute owner of the property when there is a transfer of ownership. That is, after selling the property, buyer is having all the rights, that is to get all the benefits arising out of the property. To get all the benefits arising out of the property and to get rents and profits from, that is, here under buyer's rights, after sale, the buyer becomes the owner of the property. Therefore, is entitled to get all the benefits arising from the property. And buyer is entitled to get the rents, profits or produce or any other beneficial interest which or legal incidents of that property. You all know what is legal incidents. Here, not only the rents, profits or beneficial interest of the property which can be recovered by the buyer, that is the buyer is entitled to get not only the rents, profits, is also entitled to get the legal incidents of the property. What is this legal incidents? Legal incidents is which are the things which are attached to the property. When the ownership has been transferred, when the possession has been transferred from the seller to the buyer, that is a legal incidents which has been attached to the property will also be transferred from the seller to the buyer. This is a right which the buyer is having after sale.